Hello and welcome back to another round of Coronavirus Booster. My name is Aljosa Trmcic. I am Dairy Extension Associate at Cornell University, and this is the Coronavirus Booster for the week of March 1st. As always, we start with the nationwide COVID-19 numbers. After 2 months of solid decrease in the numbers, we hit a little bit of a plateau in the last week. Part of it could still be the effects of the big winter storm that hit Texas, that among other problems caused problems with testing and reporting. In any case, experts have feared that the numbers will level off a bit too soon, which is why they keep reminding us that we should keep our guard up, including avoiding large gatherings, public places, wearing face covering, washing our hands, keeping that 6 feet distance, and of course, finally getting that vaccine as soon as vaccine is available to each of us. Talking about vaccines, we can expect availability to go up in the next week. So FDA just approved emergency use of a third COVID-19 vaccine. This means that together with Pfizer and Moderna, we can expect more than enough vaccines to vaccinate all people in US by the end of July, which is really good news. Johnson & Johnson vaccine uses a bit different technology than Pfizer and Moderna, but the general principle is still the same. For a short amount of time, it gives our cells ability to produce specific spike protein from the virus that then initiates immune response in our body that protects us from developing COVID-19 in the future. Now, what is cool about this vaccine is that it is a single shot vaccine, so no need to go back for a second shot like we did with the other 2 vaccines. Also, it is stable at refrigeration temperatures for up to 3 months, which will make the distribution and storage much easier, specifically supplying to remote areas where transport and storage at the right temperature was a problem before. And maybe the coolest part is that it is safe and it is effective vaccine. I intentionally didn't include the information about 72% effectiveness in US, which yes, looks lower than 95%, which is something that some of you might be concerned with, but really there's no reason for concern. All 3 vaccines were tested at different times on different populations. It makes it really hard to compare the numbers between each other. Maybe if Johnson & Johnson vaccine was tested in the same study as Pfizer vaccine, it would also show the 95% effectiveness. The main part to remember is that 72% effectiveness is still very, very high, and it is more than enough. I would not get caught in the game of numbers because it's not the difference between 72 and 95% effectiveness that will determine if and when we get out of this pandemic, but the difference in how many and how fast people take the vaccine that's available to them. So when you are eligible for the vaccine and the vaccine is available, get vaccinated and help us get that one step closer to stopping this pandemic. Another concern and frequently asked question is, why do I still have to wear face covering and keep my social distance even after being fully vaccinated? And the answer is because we still don't know if vaccines can prevent transmission of the virus from vaccinated person to others. The only thing we do know is that it can prevent development of COVID-19 symptoms. We already said that vaccines are very effective at preventing COVID-19. So this is development of symptoms, need for hospitalization, and the likelihood of person dying from COVID-19. For example, if vaccine is 72% effective, this means that for every 100 cases of COVID-19 among people that didn't get the vaccine, we can expect only 18 cases among people that received the vaccine, which is more than 5-fold decrease, which is something that can be very helpful in stopping this pandemic. The part we currently don't know is if vaccinated people that are exposed to the virus have only mild infection without symptoms, in which case they can spread the infection to others, or are they protected from the infection altogether, in which case they are also not spreading the infection to others. In other words, we don't know if vaccinated people after being exposed to the virus will become asymptomatic carriers of the virus and infect others. The risk of spreading the virus to other people is even greater if these vaccinated people adopt attitude that they are safe and everyone else around them is safe from the infection. You can imagine the increased spread of the virus that this combination can lead to. Now, some of the new studies are showing promising results and indicating that vaccines are not only effective at preventing development of COVID-19 symptoms, but also at preventing transmission of the virus. However, these studies are looking into limited number of people, limited number of different vaccines, so not enough to make general statements about the safety of all vaccines in all situations. For example, different populations, ages, cultures, geographic locations. Um, I have one example here where a study was conducted in Israel using Pfizer vaccine, and people receiving the vaccines were 40 years or older. Now, because we cannot say with certainty that all approved vaccines prevent virus transmission in all populations and all situations, it is better to keep other control strategies even after we receive the vaccine. As more people get vaccinated, the number of daily cases is further reduced, and we get more scientific data on vaccines, we will be able to gradually loosen the recommendations. But for now, it is really just too soon to make this kind of decisions. The important part to remember is that just because the recommendations are to keep practicing social distancing and keep wearing that face covering even after being fully vaccinated, this does not mean that vaccines are not effective. As we said, the number of people that develop COVID-19 is expected to be reduced by up to 95% with vaccination. And if sufficient number of people get vaccinated, some estimates are 80% or more, we can achieve something called herd immunity or community immunity, where not only vaccinated people are protected from COVID-19, but also people that cannot get vaccinated, for example, people with chronic illnesses. Currently, there has been about 130 million estimated infected people and 25 million fully vaccinated people in US, which is still less than half of the US population. There's still a lot more people that can get infected and continue this pandemic. And we can get to this herd immunity much faster with vaccines than without it. And with it, we get less deaths, less hospitalizations, and we also give this virus less chance to spread, replicate, and mutate into something that could cause an even bigger problem. For example, something that can cause more severe illness or is something that is not affected by the vaccines we have. Currently, we have vaccines that are effective. We have other mitigation strategies that are effective and in place. So let's use it all to regain control over this pandemic before we go back to normal. Thank you. This coronavirus booster series is part of the program supported by USDA NIFA and brought to you by Cornell's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences Dairy Foods Extension and by Cornell's Institute for Food Safety.